Others cannot even reject you as much as you are already rejecting yourself by being afraid of rejection. And welcome back to my channel. My name is Alina, and today I'm going to talk about how to handle rejection, how to overcome the fear of rejection, and how to deal with it, and how to get more confident in that manner so you can stop being afraid of rejection when you're in the end just rejecting yourself, and what I actually mean by that. Why do we actually have a fear of rejection? So most of the time it stems from childhood, where we had an experience where we are rejected, where we didn't feel love. So there's basically this pyramid of like the different needs that we have. I believe it's like Maslows pyramid or something, the basic needs that people have. So if you look on it, every single human being has the need of love and appreciation. You are in childhood and you have an event where you are being rejected, and like somebody doesn't really like act based on the expectations maybe that you have. Maybe you've experienced like something where, for example, your parent rejected you, like didn't give you the love that you maybe needed in that certain moment, or you actually had an experience in school where, you know, maybe somebody laughed about you, or the teacher was telling you that your answer was wrong, or I don't know, like you have a crush first time in school and you tell your crush you have feelings for them, and they do not, you know, they do not reciprocate them, and they don't show you the love back, or they just, you know, maybe they laugh about you, maybe they bully you or whatever. Like you have an experience of rejection where you experienced rejection for the very first time. There's not a single person on this earth who grows up and just has different fears. Like when we're babies, we're like literally like white paper, nothing is written on it, and we are like this complete pure being, has no sense of like fears or good or bad or something. Like we just have the physical needs that obviously like we're getting taken care of by our parents. Later on, we obviously develop more and more needs, like the feeling of significance, love, appreciation, all these kind of feelings, okay? But then like when you have a certain experience and you have somebody rejecting you, you don't know that experience, like you don't know rejection, because you always have these expectations, like how you would maybe react or how you would treat other people. We are not really conscious in that manner of what rejection really is. All that we experience in that certain moment is that somebody is not reciprocating the energy, not, you know, not meeting our expectations, and not showing us the love that we need. Because in the end, it is never about a certain thing. It's always a deep underlying need for your feeling and for your fear of being rejected. What happens is that information gets saved in your nervous system. So when it comes to manifestation, I always say like the core things of how to actually like reprogram yourself and like manifest your desires, and like what you need to do in order to go to the root cause of the issue. If you tried all the manifestation techniques, all the affirmations, everything, but still like something doesn't seem to work out for you, you need to go deeper to your self-concept, which is ruled by your subconscious. So you go to your subconscious, right? You need to reprogram your subconscious mind. You need to change your self-concept. You need to change your beliefs, limitations. You need to become aware of them. You need to reprogram them, and also your nervous system. Like everything is getting, you know, trapped, let's say, energetically in our body. Like the body keeps the score. There's many studies about this. I read this book, The Body Keeps the Score. I forgot the author, but yeah, you can Google it, you will find it. And this book literally showed studies of people whose trauma got kind of like trapped inside of their bodies. And your body will remember. If you have one bad experience, one single trauma, you create a pattern through that, because it disturbs your reality. It disturbs your view of the world in that manner if somebody is acting not as you expect them to act, or if your need is not being fulfilled. You didn't receive the love that you wanted from your parents and you are being rejected, and then you have this constant fear of not being loved back by your parents, so your need of love is not being filled or met, then you will keep on having this fear, and you will put that onto other people and project that kind of like any experiences where you have the basic need of love, and where you recreate that pattern of that certain experience and receive the love that you needed when you were being rejected. Like, what was the root cause of it? What was an experience? Like, what are the experiences that you had in your life where you have been feeling the same, where you have been rejected? So you go back in time and you try to become as much aware as possible of all the past experiences that you have, and go back and back, like further and further, to see where that first experience has occurred. And then most of the time, when we actually realize where that fear stems from, sometimes like when you are in meditation and you go back, for example, you can call back these memories and these emotions and trigger points, and you will actually realize that that fear stemmed from a situation where it wasn't really necessarily you have been rejected. Like, everything always comes in perspective. So maybe your parent, for example, they didn't actually want to reject you. Like, obviously, like your parents, usually they do love you and they, want to be there for you. Maybe it was just like a moment of weakness in their life, like a moment of where they're just like super busy, and you came to them like, Mom, Dad, da, 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 and you're like screaming and whatever, and they're exhausted from work, and they will tell you, just shut the fuck up. Like, very rude, obviously, but like maybe they were just exhausted. So that moment of rejection is just a basic example right now. I just want you to understand where I'm coming from. But like, this certain experience that is not even the truth, like your parents are not rejecting you, they just had a moment of weakness maybe, and that had like created that ripple effect of you having now fear of rejection. You recreate that pattern because you have, that fear inside of you because your need has not been met, and then you develop a coping mechanism, which could be procrastination, okay? If you have a feeling of being rejected, and for example, I don't know, you want to start a business, let's say, and you need to talk to people. What you don't want to do is being rejected, because you then have a feeling of not being loved, of not feeling validated, of, not feeling good enough. Therefore, you avoid all the situation where you could be rejected by somebody. When in the end, what you do is you procrastinate, you put your dreams and all your desires on hold, because you're so afraid of a situation that might not even occur. Because what's the tricky point with this fear is that usually most of the time we are, imagining the worst case scenario, thinking like, oh, what if this person doesn't like me? What if I, tell them I love them and they will not say it back? Okay, and, that's what I always say. Yes, and what happens? Nothing happens. You just move on from life. Like, you will always have kind of experiences where, you will be rejected, or you will not, get the outcome that you expect. You just have to get used to it, and you have to move through that fear to learn that rejection is sometimes not even a bad thing. Like, it's just maybe to guide you onto the right path. Maybe that person that you deeply love and doesn't reciprocate that energy is not even the person that you're meant to be with. In the end, you are more so rejecting yourself, because most of the time when you're stopping yourself and you're procrastinating, you develop this coping mechanism of how to just avoid that, possible rejection that might not even occur. But, when you're not doing it, obviously it's not going to occur. But what do you actually do? You have to realize who you're actually hurting by having that fear. You're hurting yourself. You're blocking your own blessings. You're hurting yourself because you are rejecting yourself. Before anybody else can reject you, you are already rejecting yourself. Do you realize that? Like, that is what happens when you constantly are moving out of fear. When you are in a fear-based scarcity mindset, you are rejecting yourself. You're disregarding your blessings. You're disregarding your, the flourishment of your personality. You are disregarding yourself. You are judging and criticizing yourself before anybody else can do, because you do not believe in yourself. You have very low self-esteem, so like low self-confidence. And what you need to do to overcome that is act. Like, that's the only thing that you can do, to do the inner work, to go back. Like I always say, 80-20 rule, okay? 80% inner work, 20% aligned action. Focus on the inner work first and go back to what have triggered you, where you felt rejected, how you feel like the feeling of rejection comes up, and what is actually the basic need. And what is maybe the limiting belief that you're holding that is creating this fear of rejection? If, like, for most people, like, one of the basic limitations and like limiting beliefs is I am not good enough. So you have to become aware of what you actually do to yourself while you're thinking somebody else is doing something to me. Like, people that have a fear of rejection, they always think, oh, somebody else wants to hurt me, somebody else is going to attack me, like they don't want me, they bully me, whatever. They always give the power away to somebody else, when in fact, it is actually on them. Like, you have the power. You have to become aware. You have to remind yourself that you hold the power within. You have the power to give certain things meaning. If you don't give a certain meaning to that rejection, that triggers, for example, that I'm not good enough. Like, just because somebody else was rejecting you, doesn't like your idea, doesn't like love you back, doesn't reciprocate the energy, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It doesn't mean that that you're not good enough. It just means that they're not the right people, that it's not the right opportunity. Like, that's how I always see it. I always get what I want or better. That is my, like, one of my main affirmations that I always tell myself. Like, whatever is not working out for me is just because there's something better already on the way. And I just don't like want to waste my time with that person, with that career, with that business, with that friend, whatever. You have to reject the rejection. Like, this is what you should reject, okay? The rejection. You should not be afraid of possible rejection by somebody else, because you choose what you give meaning to. I listen to a lot of content from Bashar, and I think I already said it in one of my last videos, like, life is inherently meaningless. We are here to give it meaning. We are here to create life, and we create it based on what we give meaning to. Okay, so if you, for example, you have fear of rejection from somebody, you give meaning to the opinion from somebody else, to you put them on a pedestal, you put them higher than you put yourself. You need to go back and you need to put yourself on that pedestal. If somebody doesn't like what you have to say, if somebody doesn't like you back, they don't love you, it doesn't matter, because it doesn't make you less of a person. It doesn't make you less of a personality. It doesn't make you less of a human being. Like, you are good the way you are. It's just not like they are not for you. That person is not for you. You cannot, like I always say, you cannot say the wrong thing to the right people, and you cannot say the right thing to the wrong people. You have to develop so much confidence within yourself, and the only way of doing that is you actually taking action and doing something and practicing. Really, it's really a practice to do the things that you want to do without being afraid. Like, you have to stop censoring yourself. And that is something also that I recently had to learn, where I was feeling like, because I am online and, like, you know, I talk publicly on my YouTube channel, on my TikTok, on my Instagram, and sometimes, like, in this day and age, everyone is always offended. Literally everyone. Like, you just have to say one word the wrong way from their perspective, and you are being accused of being something or being offended or whatever. When in the end, guys, everyone has their own personal perspective, and that's the beauty of this world, because universe is experiencing itself through these different facets of God, like through different lenses, through different perspectives, and every single person has that different perspective, and that's what makes it interesting. But you have the power to choose what you want to see as truth and what you do not want to see as truth. And you can literally choose and pick whatever you want, okay? In the end, you can never please anybody, and you don't even have to. And that's also what makes it, you know, a little fun. Like, you can be controversial and people will call you out, and then there will be other people celebrating for what you have to say and celebrating for speaking up and standing your ground. And you will find these people by doing that, by taking that action where you feel like that is your calling, where you have the feeling like that is my truth and I'm going to speak up on it, and I'm going to, like, just do me, because I am the most important person in my life. Like, I am the person that I'm gonna be with forever, for the rest of my days. And why should I put anybody else's opinions on that pedestal, that rejection, that fear? If I could put myself on the pedestal, my opinion is the most valid one. And I do not want to reject myself. I do not want to reject my dreams, my business, my career, my desires, my friends, whatever you want to call into your life, because you learn that nothing can faze you if you don't give it meaning. Nobody can hurt you if you don't agree with them, if you don't allow them to speak to you like that, or if you don't take it personally. That is one big thing. Like I think I talked about the like my favorite books, and it was the 4 Agreements, where you basically you have to not make any assumptions. You should not take anything personally. You should not accuse anyone. I think those are the 3. And then the 4th thing is to always do your best. So I'm not 100% sure if these are the 4 agreements, but like that book is basically all about that, like to stop taking anything personally, because in the end, everyone is living in their own world. Everyone is living in their perspective. And you do not have to agree with every single perspective. You don't have to agree with their rejection. Do you realize that? I don't need to have anyone's approval or validation, because I am validating myself. I approve of myself. And this is how you can handle rejection, by learning how to do it step by step, by taking that action and becoming more and more confident. Because the more you do and the more you actually get the things that you want in your life, the more you feel confident, because you actually have what you desire. And even though if there's people outside there that do not agree with you, they are not working in your shoes, they do not live the life that you have, and they maybe do not even have the desires that you have, who cares? Because this is your life, and you have to learn how to make the best out of your life, not of their life. So by you dimming your light and putting yourself in this tiny little box, hoping that nobody will ever reject you, hoping that nobody will ever, speak badly about you, or don't agree to what you have to say or what you do, you are limiting yourself all the freaking time. You're limiting yourself and you're dimming your light, when in fact you should not give a single fuck about what anybody has to say, about that you're shining too bright. They can just wear sunglasses so they don't get blinded. In the end, it's nobody's right to offend you, to accuse you, to, be mean or rude or disrespectful to you. But it always says so much more about them than it says about you. Like, I couldn't care less. I couldn't care less what anybody thinks of me. I couldn't care less about if I get anybody's approval of what I have to say. I literally could not care less about, people having their own personal perspective and their own personal opinion of life and their beliefs. This is how they grew up. I do not know them personally. I haven't walked in their shoes, so who am I to, judge that? But at the same time, who are they to reject me? I do not allow them to reject me, because I just move on. I find my peace, I find my happiness, because in the end, I get what I want or better. This is just how it is. So even if I am being rejected, I'm great. Because now I have one less thing to worry about. Now I know that there's something clearly better on the way for me. I am being always guided in the right direction. I'm always being protected and leaded, and just, I am good. I'm blessed. I'm always good. And somehow I don't know how always, no, God knows, I don't know how always, but I know that it's always going to work out for me in one way or the other. And this is how you open yourself to so many possibilities and, so many just blessings, because you never know. And by putting all your hope into that one single thing and that one single person, imagine then they reject you and you put all your eggs in one basket. How you feel? Like shit, obviously. But if you are open, do not put too much weight onto their opinion and to that certain possible rejection, you will be good no matter what. because you will have so many other possibilities, so many other doors that could open for you. And like, I would lie if I say I'm so good with handling rejection. Like, sometimes it does hurt. Yes, like sometimes you're like, what did I do wrong? But this is like where you learn how to trust your voice, how to trust your perspective, how to trust yourself, how to speak up for yourself, how to stand your ground, and how to not give in and become a people pleaser again, and being like, oh my gosh, and putting so much weight onto the other person, like giving away all of your power to that other person. Because why? Who are they to judge you, to reject you? You allow them to do that. You have to stop allowing them to do it because you are on the pedestal. And if you know deep down in your heart that this is your truth, of course you can be always open-minded to like other people's, you know, perceptions and point of view and whatnot, but like you can decide whether you want to agree with something or not. You decide that, nobody else. So you should never be afraid to voice your opinion, to do the things that you want to do, to go after what you want, just because you're afraid of rejection. And this is how you lose confidence in yourself and self-esteem, because you're always stopping yourself, you're always coping, you're always procrastinating just by this simple thing. And in the end, even if you're being rejected, it's not even that bad, honestly. Yeah, maybe you have like some doubts, you know, here and there. In the end, you're not dead. You're still alive. You still have a lot of other possibilities to get your way anyways. So who does it hurt to be rejected in the end? It just hurts our ego, you know? So you have to find that, you know, that way of that like balance where you know that whatever you want, you deserve and is right and you should go after it, versus being open-minded to other people's perspectives, but also knowing that you in the end hold the power, you in the end give meaning to everything, you in the end have, you know, you have to come up with the willpower and like the decision making of what is more important to you, yourself and your desires and your dreams and goals and your blessings, or somebody else not agreeing with you when you're on the way to get anything that you want. And this is why your wish is in your heart for the first place. Like God does not give you a vision and a goal and like something like an urge in your heart to do, to go after, just for you to say, oh no, I'm not good enough. I'm not going to get it anyways. I'm just going to be rejected anyways. No, in that moment, when you decide to go against your dream, you rejected yourself. Don't be afraid. Actually embrace that rejection, because it will make you stronger. You will grow thick skin, especially if you are, you know, in like public speaking or you're doing like social media. Like, you just have to learn that not everybody will agree with you, that you will receive hate, that you will have people like, you know, being mean to you, but being disrespectful to you, but you don't have to drop to their level. You don't have to agree with them. You don't have to take it personally, because in the end, it's always about them. It's always like their own misery. You're not miserable yourself, right? You are not like out there trying to hate on people, trying to be rude and disrespectful and mean and bullying. No, you're looking after yourself. And this is what you have to do. So like, look at yourself only, focus on yourself only and your perspective. If it doesn't benefit you to change your perspective, why would you care? I only change my perspective if it's serving me. Like, I'm pretty clear on what I want. I always like listen to other people, but if it doesn't benefit me to change my perspective, I'm not going to do it, because it must be serving me in order to like change myself. It must be something really good in order to change my perspective, to be like, oh my gosh, this is such a good advice, I'm going to take that. And I do this a lot, but there's also times where I'm just like, no, I don't agree with this. And I'm going to keep on to stick to my opinion and to my belief, because this is what serves me. So if that doesn't serve another person, if they call you unrealistic for you, not for me. For me, this is very realistic. If somebody tells me, oh, you cannot make money online, well, you can't. I can, you know, I'm doing it. I proved myself wrong. I keep on doing it. Like, this is what I believe. This is what serves me. I'm not being served if I drop to their level and being like, oh, yeah, it's so unrealistic. Right. Sure. Who would serve that? Nobody. Maybe they just, at this moment, they don't feel as bad as they would because they are never trying things. They just rather like reject other people and like being mean to other people and disrespectful than to actually like do something themselves. Maybe it's that. I have no idea like what disrespectful and rude people are like thinking about all day. Probably a lot of like miserable, negative and destructive thoughts. And they have to cope with that by, you know, being rude to other people and project their insecurities. But that's on them. It's always about how you actually want to see the world, and how you want to have, you know, certain evidence in your life, how you want to have your reality being created. Like if somebody tells me, for example, life is so hard, like you have to struggle, you have to sacrifice, you have to work hard for money, like that is their reality, that's what they're gonna experience. But like I do not want to experience that reality. I do not want to like struggle and suffer all the time. Like who came up with this construct that we have to suffer? What? Who came up with this? Why should we suffer? Life is not about suffering. I refuse to believe that. So when people are telling me, oh, you're so delusional, what you think is wrong and blah, 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 and like you cannot just do this and that. Like, yes, I can. It's maybe unrealistic for you, but like in the end, they call me delusional, but like I am actually creating my desired reality. So who's the actual realist here? I'm not unrealistic if I'm actually creating my desired reality. I think that's very realistic for me. If you want to believe something else about how life functions, that you want to see life as easy and playful, you will find evidence in your life for your life being easy. You will find evidence of that you do not have to work hard for your money. Like it just comes to you, like you will receive your blessings because you're open and receptive and that's what you believe. And you will always, this is how your reality is being created. What you believe is true about yourself, the world, and other people is what constantly is being reflected back towards you. And if people that call themselves realists are thinking like life has to be hard, let them live a hard-ass life and let them complain about it. Let them reject you. And as I said, it all comes down to the inner work that you do and like how how you grow yourself and your personal development. And you already know that I'm a coach, a mindset manifestation coach on the Inner Bloom platform. And that is the ultimate transformative academy. And this will save you so much time, effort, and actual money because you have in one single place, one single platform, everything that you need to in order to transform yourself, change your self-identity, change your self-concept. I'm on there as a mindset manifestation coach where I teach you self-identity work. I teach you how to reprogram your subconscious mind, rewire your nervous system, and give you all the tools and resources that you need in order to really transform yourself and then also change your reality. So go and check the description box down below and get access to the Inner Bloom Academy. So guys, this was my video about how to handle rejection, how to deal with it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you're new here on my channel, then definitely subscribe so you don't miss out on any other videos. I'll be back with another video very soon. If you have any other topic suggestions, then put them down below in the comments. And yes, guys, love you so much and I see you in my next video. Bye.